Hi, I'm Rosie Cake Diva. Today I'm just going to show you a basic buttercream recipe, really simple, the most basic recipe you can do actually. There are other forms, but this one's a fail-safe method and it's brilliant if you're a beginner or if you just want a recipe that's going to give you a good consistency for piping. You'll need 250 grams of unsalted butter at room temperature. It must be butter, not margarine, because margarine just doesn't have the right consistency. 500 grams of icing sugar and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now I'm going to start by softening the butter. I'm using the K-Vita attachment on my mixer and I'm simply going to put the butter in and soften it up to start with. Now I'm just going to start adding the icing sugar. I do it a little bit at a time. I choose to do it with a spoon because if I pour it in, it just seems to go everywhere, even though I've got a pouring attachment and even though I've got a guard. So I'm just spooning it in. I'm then going to mix it at a very low speed just until it gets incorporated, and then I'm going to whiz it up at higher speed. The icing sugar until it's all in there and it's all nice and smooth. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of vanilla extract to this. I'm adding a teaspoon, which is fine for this recipe. I could also add a little bit of liquid, such as water or milk. That makes it a nice smooth consistency. But it's fine as it is, and be careful, I don't add milk unless I know that it's going to be eaten that day. Okay, while we're mixing it, I just want to make sure that it's actually got through the whole of the buttercream. So I'm just scraping the sides down to make sure that it's all incorporated properly and giving it another mix until it's nice and creamy. So we've given this a really good beating. It's lovely and creamy. Probably been about 5 to 10 minutes in the mixer getting it this consistency, and we're ready to put it in the piping bag. Hi, it's Rosie Cake Diva, and today I'm going to show you how to do these buttercream swirls in multicolours from one piping bag. You don't have to do these colours, you can do some pretty colours or you can do some loud ones, it's up to you, but we're going to show you how to do it. Now I've made a batch of buttercream. I've done a double batch, which is 500 grams of butter to 1 kilogram of icing sugar. If you want to see the proper recipe, there is a video already on my channel. Now I've used the buttercream that is very basic because I want to make sure it pipes nicely. I don't want it to be splurgy, I don't want it to be sloppy. I've split it up into 4 different batches and I'm going to add colour to each of them. I like to use these pastes or gels rather than the liquid colouring. It seems to hold the colour much better and it doesn't change the consistency of the buttercream. So I'm just going to get to it and mix the 4 colours of my choice. I've got my 4 coloured buttercreams now. I've got a disposable piping bag and a 1M tip, which is a open star. And what I'm going to do is start with some cellophane or saran wrap, and each colour is going to go in a little bit of this cellophane. So I'm just going to lay a little bit out on my work surface. There we go. And I'm going to take my first colour, which is the green, and I'm going to put a little splodge of the green in the centre. There we go. And if you watch, all I'm going to do is I'm going to use the saran wrap or the cellophane to make a little sausage. See that? And that's it. And if you can watch carefully, I'm just going to gently pull some of the buttercream so it makes a little bit more of an elongated shape. And I'm going to go ahead and do that with all of the colours. Okay, I've got my 4 colours now all ready to go. I'm going to take my piping bag and I'm going to roughly measure where I need to cut. Okay, now this is the tricky bit and I need to make sure I get it right. What I want to do is tease the buttercream up to the end, and then I'm going to snip it, making sure that it's coming out of the end, because if not, it might get folded over on itself and it might clog. So here we go. There you go, so I know it's coming out there. So now what I'm going to do is enter these. This is the tricky bit to do because you need to make sure that they're all facing forward as you pop them in. I can see that they're all quite happily facing downwards, which is what you want. If they're not, readjust them until they do. And now I'm just going to get them all started at the same time, so that hopefully by the time we start doing this, it's the toothpaste effect, isn't it? The stripy toothpaste effect. So you can see that they're all coming down similarly. And that's my piping bag ready to go. Now, if you're very uncomfortable with piping, especially because the piping bag is quite full, then add a little elastic band to the top to give you a little bit more pressure and help you. But if you're comfortable, you can just twist it and then use that pressure to pipe. I'm going to start piping. Now, when I do it, I'm going to start at the bottom and I'm going to start with the middle, and then I'm going to, if I can do it so that you can see, I'm going to start with a little dab in the middle, round, and then tail it off. The difficulty is if you want to keep the colours consistent, you need to keep the piping bag at the same angle. So I've got the yellow on top for this, which is hard for me because my temptation is to twist it and to turn it round. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep remembering to keep the yellow on top, and hopefully that will mean that when I finish, I will end up with a nice effect. Now I'm slightly overlapping, so whenever I finish, I'm finishing on the right hand side, then I'm starting a new one and just gently overlapping the end of the previous rosette. So hopefully it will look nice and neat. Okay. So now I'm going to start again on the second row in the same way. So middle, round, and break it off. There we go. So here's the finished cake. This one's pretty special because it's got a bit of a surprise inside. If you want to see how we've made the actual cake, then you can click on this link here. Let's have a look at what we've done inside. Are you ready? Very exciting. There we go. It's a piñata cake, and there's full instructions on my YouTube channel. Can I have one? Right, the purple one.
I want the blue.
Cheeky.
Oh, get off. I'll go a red one as well now.